Alright YouTube, Stocks by the Numbers, welcome back. I just made this video real quick to just remind you exactly who's who in my line of business and to show you just how freaking good I've been doing. And as we see here, we're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and obviously JP Morgan came out and a lot of these banks posted earnings, decent profits. Dow was up about 280 points right here at this point, and I mentioned in the Discord it's time to buy puts on DIA, which of course is the Dow Jones 30 ETF. And as you see, we went from up 280 points to down about 30 points. Now, of course, in the last 30 minutes, we've had a little bit of a rally here. However, I'm sure if you were in the Discord and I told you to buy puts up here and then the Dow pulled back here, well, obviously, you would have made very handsome profits there. And this is why I tell you guys, if I have something quick like this, I'm going to mention it in the Discord because it's instantaneous that you would get this call out, right? If I had to, right here at whatever, 10 to 10 or whatever this was, if I had to pull up the chart, open up OBS Studio, and I had to start recording a video, and then I have to put in all the keywords and the tags for each video, and then I got to wait for YouTube to format it, and then we have to wait for you to actually see it if you don't have notifications turned on, so you're not going to see it right away, so you're going to have to wait for YouTube to recommend it on your page, and that's what I mean. By the time you would have seen this video call out, it could have been here, even an hour later, from 10 to 11, and you can see the drastic drop that you missed, the trade you could have had, and the profits you could have made. So this is why, again, this is basically just a call to arms, basically. You guys, every single person watching my videos should be in my Discord. I'm very appreciative of all the support I've been seeing. I know a handful of people, a select few of you, you know, you make it your business to go out of your way to watch every video that I upload, take a second to like the video, and the subscriber count has been growing. I'm very grateful for that. We're up to about 1,100 subs here on this channel, and you know, we only have about 70 people in the Discord. So those numbers are a little skewed, and basically, again, if, like I always mention, if you're a longer-term investor and you watch the videos for what I feel is going to happen to a stock in, 6 or 12 months, and you're strictly, a buy and hold individual, then again, I can appreciate the fact, you don't make it your business to come in Discord. But chances are, based on the people I've been talking to, and of course people I've met in the past, chances are if there's 1,100 of you sub to this channel, I would say at least 700 or 800 of you are doing short-term trading. And again, if you're doing short-term trading, this is why I have separated myself from the rest of the pack, and this is what I'm trying to show you here. Look at this absolute nail of a call there. I mean, probably what, options moved maybe 200+% maybe? I have no idea. Of course, the less time you buy, the more they move. However, really any put that you bought here, once I mentioned it in the Discord, you would be up handsomely. And I even mentioned this a few days ago. I made some great calls as well. As we come down here and we look at oil, and we can see that oil is up 3.7% today. And if we back it up just a few days, you can see, look, I had the arrow. I was talking about just yesterday. Well, actually, my apologies. Back here, before the conflict was announced in the Middle East, I was saying to buy oil here on this dip, especially since we were up at 90 plus a barrel, and now we pulled back to the low 80s, right? So that was like a 10-12% discount. And what do I always say? What's the saying? We buy the dips and we sell the rips, right? So even if you bought this dip and started buying in up at 83, 82s, and then you wake up the next day and you see a pop of oil up to 86, 87 a barrel on the conflict, obviously you would take the money and run. And then Wednesday, we had oil come back down to this trend line that I have drawn out here, and that's when I re-mentioned oil, saying it's down at the trend line, and in my opinion, it's probably going to pop upwards instead of downwards. We had an immediate pop upwards, right, and then we have the pullback again where it broke and got right back above the trend line. I again posted in the Discord yesterday showing this exact chart, saying that we're down at the trend line, and in my opinion, we have to pop upwards, not downwards. And what do we see today? Another 4% pop. So just inside of about the last week and a half, you could have made a ridiculous amount of profits going into the oil ETF. USO is the symbol, USO. And if you stepped in, if you bought some shares of USO, obviously you're up, like 5%. If you stepped in and you bought some calls the other day on USO, you are up nicely here. And in my opinion, we're probably going to go back up to that trend line, if not significantly higher. But, in my opinion, I just knew that I was going to be in the right place at the right time. I knew that oil was going to get a bump. And listen, sometimes it just lines up with the fundamentals, the technicals, and then on top of it, the geopolitical news. So like I said, I knew, like in the numbers and based on what I was seeing in the economy, that oil was a buy down here on the dip. And then it just so happens that over the weekend, as we roll into Monday morning, now we have the war happening with Israel, and boom, oil had like that 4 or 5% pop or whatever that next day. I mean, sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. And sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, again, the goal is to be right more than you're wrong. And I have been consistently proving myself, especially in the shorter term, actually, in the Discord, that I am light years ahead of my competition, whether it's another YouTube financial hobbyist channel or if it's another trader who got blessed with their Tesla position. So now they started a trading Discord charging people $20, $30, $50 a month for their trades, when in reality, they just got blessed and they really have no idea what they're talking about. And if these people are charging you monthly to be, 50 or 60% correct, I mean, just imagine what my channel and my Discord is worth if I'm consistently showing like 80, 90% success rate on a lot of these calls. I also mentioned silver here. I want to look at silver. Look, I have it circled here just the other day. Last week, I was constantly mentioning that the drop down in silver was a serious overreaction. And all week, you can see silver bouncing around this trend line here, deciding where it's going to go. And again, with the hyperinflation and the fact that we're consistently printing dollars, plus with the turmoil now happening overseas, I knew in my gut, and a lot of people may disagree with the whole gut feeling, but again, I'm proving my success rate here consistently. And again, I mentioned that as we're bouncing on this trend line here, silver has to go higher, not lower. And that is exactly what you see happening here. And as you see, looking at the right side of the screen, silver was sub $21 an ounce, and now silver is up almost 4% today alone, up at $22.67 an ounce. These are not nickel and dime returns. If you positioned yourself into SLV, which is the silver ETF that I mentioned multiple times on this channel and in my Discord, if you stepped in and you bought some calls on SLV, look at this. This was Friday, October 6th. And now exactly 1 week later, look how much you're up. So if you bought calls on SLV with maybe 2 or 3 weeks of time on them, right? Because I always say that time trumps strike price. So if you bought some SLV calls with some time on them, you are seeing some astronomical returns. And again, my timing may have been early with something like gold when I was calling for a buy on gold, like back up here, like 1870 and all the way down as it hit like 1850 and 1830. I was just consistently reminding everyone in Discord, listen, these are the best hedge plays. We saw them rising throughout the rough economy, and now they're dipping down. So I would advise you, in my opinion, to buy the dips and wait to sell the rips. And as we can see, basically in the same time frame, gold has gone from the low 1800s, now it's up to almost 1925 an ounce here, having a nice 3% pop day, and in my opinion, probably retracing back to this trend line at around 1942 an ounce, and probably going back to 2K plus. And that's why, again, this is why basically just making a video advising you, in my opinion, to join the Discord. I mentioned on Wednesday that it was time for puts, and everything started to reverse. A lot of the individual callouts that I mentioned puts on DraftKings a few days ago. Look, there's my circle. See, this is my trend line that I have drawn across, connecting the tops to the tops, and I said, hey, DraftKings is near the top. Look at that, around $31 a share. Now, for the last 2 or 3 days, it has now pulled back, and look at this. It's sub 28 3/4, down 2.5% just today. So this is what I'm saying. If you were in the Discord here with DraftKings at 31 and you saw the call out and you stepped in and you bought some 30 puts, some 29 puts, obviously you are in the money and you are seeing significant returns yet again. Also looks like we actually had some big chunks down here on dkng and now are potentially bear flagging, meaning that we may pull back even more, potentially another point and a half here back into the 27s and the 26s. This is why, it may seem ridiculous to you that I'm getting a lot of these calls correct. However, again, I hate to be cocky or conceited or just come off as just one of those just overly zealous individuals. But again, at the end of the day, if I'm right more than I'm wrong, no one can say anything. And if you were in the Discord getting the trades, again, you'd be up, if you had a $500,000 account, you now obviously are probably up to at least $1,500 to $2K if you followed a lot of my calls. If you had 2 or 3K, you may potentially be up to 8, 9, 10K right now. Again, this all could have happened just in about the last week and a half. I mentioned puts on Rivian. It was up at 20. Now it's down at 19. Palantir was above 18 a couple of days ago here. I think it was it Tuesday? It might have been Tuesday or Wednesday, but either way, you can see the top candle here basically at the same price. It was like 18 and a quarter, 18.30, and I mentioned, hey, Palantir went a little too high too quick here, obviously, just over, I think it was up like 6-7 days in a row or something like that. And again, sometimes it's simple logic and common sense. Oh, Palantir's been up for the last 7 days, but the markets are rocky, and we have a war happening overseas in Israel. Well, guess what? Now it's going to start coming down. That's why sometimes you have to look at the inverse of some of the news articles and headlines that they're bringing to your attention, right? Because as I just said, markets have been rocky. A lot of other stocks have been selling off, yet you're telling me something like Palantir, which in my opinion was already overvalued, you're telling me now it's been up 6-7 straight days in a row or something. So again, simple logic and common sense tells us what goes up must come down. And if you bought puts up there, 18 and a quarter, as you see, not a drastic move, but the stock is down to 1760, down almost 2% just today. And this is why I say this is a trader's market and you have to be in and out. And a situation like this, if you go back Wednesday at 18 and a quarter and you bought 18 puts or 17 and a halves or 17s, and now the stock actually pulls back here, what was the low? 17.32. So that's what I mean. Even if you had 17s and it didn't exactly get to that strike price, the option still would have moved nicely and you could have made a very nice percentage return there on those Palantir puts. But all of these calls across the board have been really, really phenomenal. Even Verizon, let's look at Verizon for a second, because look at this pop here. I mentioned, I want to double check the Discord here before I even, yep, it was yesterday, right here, look, yesterday at 1:20, okay? I was a little early, obviously, we had the continued dip after I made the call, and then we had the later afternoon rally. But VZ was over here at like 30.80 or something. And I said, in my opinion, it could go down a little bit more towards the lower 30s, but overall, I would be a buyer here of Verizon, and I would step in and I would buy calls. And you can see that, yeah, even though I may have been early at around 1-ish in the afternoon, by the close, obviously, it would have rebounded and potentially even been up a few dollars for you. And then we look today at the open when we had that overreaction with the Dow up roughly 300 points immediately at the open after the news of financials beating earnings. And look where the stock hit today, a high of 31.39, right? So if you were in the Discord at 120 here at around 30.85, 30.86, wherever the stock was, and you stepped in and you purchased 31 calls, 31 and a half calls, with the stock climbing up to 31.39 today, right at the AM, what do? This is a trader's market. We're in, we're out. Even if it was only a quick 15-20% Profits are profits. No one ever went poor taking profits. And also on top of it, I still stand by my analysis because as you see this big retracement here to this fib level, and now we basically have like this wedge and we're flattening out coming out of it. And in my opinion, I do think it's going to pop up there and get above the 20-day moving average and get back up to $31 plus. But again, these are all calls that have been made in the Discord. And just this last 6-7 trading sessions alone, you could have seen some serious returns for yourself. So just consider, look at that call on the Dow. So this is, again, basically just a quick little update video just showing you some of the shorter term call outs that I make in the Discord, which is why I always remind you in every video, Discord link in the description of every video. You guys want to come in, potentially try to make a couple of bucks here in the short term, maybe throw me a little commish or a little donation. Obviously that'd be up to you. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But again, overall, the goal that you should be having here, watching these videos on YouTube, is finding someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about, and they're significantly more right than they are wrong. And I feel that I have proven myself multiple times over, and if you're not in the Discord by now, shame on you. And I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Share the video, like the video, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That is our handshake agreement. I will do update videos on some of the stocks we looked at. I'll talk about maybe some short-term trades there in the Discord. I'll do all of that for you guys. All I ask, just do me one favor. Push the subscribe button. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and they're volatile and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one.